Aye. Yeah.
For this a long time.
Let's go.
Here goes buddy, money, baby. Joe's paranormal. Money, baby. Joe paranormal. Joe
Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It is me, Mike Lepre, King Michael. This is Legit Paranormal, brought to you by legitpodcast.com. It's Sunday night, 9/11/2022. Obviously, a historic date. Also, the start of football. Also, for some reason, the one season that the New York Football Giants decided to have a game on at 4 that would run over a 7 o'clock time slot. First time in a long time. Joining me as always, buddy, Money. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Oh, what's up, Mike? How you doing, dude?
I'm hanging in there, buddy. You know how life goes.
I'm praying for you, Mike. I really am, because you never know that week one what's going to happen, what's going to go wrong, what's going to happen, what's going to go wrong.
I get it. So, buddy, Joey Parano Show is once again Joey Parano Show.
Joey Parano Show. In substitution of Joey Parano Show, my lovely Aunt Dale just returned from another cruise, and she got me these beautiful Cubano cigars. Oh my God, I'm going to enjoy one of those tonight. Right now, I'm going to light it up.
What does that have to do with Joey not being around?
Well, it's a substitute for Joe. You know, it's quiet. It's going to sit in the corner. It's going to
All right, you do your introductions.
All right, so
Joey's
like my beer this evening, I was fortunate enough to creep through the lovely town of Westboro, Massachusetts, and find this lovely brewery today after my lovely day at work. Called it's made by Cold Harbor Brewing. It's called Novocaine, Comfortably Numbing, like the lovely song. It's a 8%. It's a double dry hopped, which means they like drop the hops really late, and you don't get like that hoppy taste. It's made with Chinook and Columbus, and again, like our guest tonight and the 0-1 New England Patriots, this beer is also from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Nice.
So this evening we are happy to welcome, other than my beer, we got Dave, Rob, and Jesse of Haunted Ghost Towns. They're also paranormal investigators. They do a lot of other stuff. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
What's up? Thanks for having us. It is Hometown Ghost Stories.
There you go.
Sorry. I screw up everybody's name, dude. I'm so
sorry.
That's
what intros.
That's what happens when you start victory lapping week one. So
right, exactly.
Things start getting messed up,
we got one win,
especially with the Dolphins.
Wait a minute. A week one win is a victory lap for the Dolphins.
That's true.
That's true.
Speaking as a Giants fan, if we won tonight, which we win, obviously, that's a victory lap. I've seen like 12 wins, guys, in 5 years. Like, let's not talk about depression. Like, the Giants owe me money for the therapy that I've had to take. You know,
at least you guys have won Super Bowls in my lifetime.
right.
Yeah. We've actually won one
Super Bowls. They've won though.
one Super Bowl in all 4 decades so far.
Yes.
The last 4 decades of the Giants, which is outstanding. Only team to do that.
Nice.
Now, guys,
you guys,
before I keep talking about the Giants, first off, King Coakley, we get a lot of things in common. One,
we do.
The beards. 2, King, obviously. 3 would be the memorabilia behind us.
Correct.
Who do you have?
The ones I'm showing are Brady, Mahomes, Montana, and Rice, but I have a lot more.
Yeah. What's that?
I said those three that you can see are Brady, Mahomes, Montana, and Rice, but I have a lot more that you can't see off
All
camera.
right, 'cause I have an authentic Michael Irvin. If you're looking to add that to your collection, I hate the Cowboys. Sorry,
I also hate the Cowboys, so
that is just a fact. So guys, you're all looking at different angles. You look like you're looking up kind of towards the sun.
That's
Somewhere.
true. Yeah, sorry. I got the
Where you're looking, buddy. They're all
multiple
looking at
screens.
you. If this was the Brady bunch, they're all staring at you for some reason. Which
Right.
is
Fix
stupid
this.
ass to
I'm the
go.
center of everybody's attention, Mike.
I specifically positioned my
Morning.
webcam so that I would be staring directly at Buddy the whole time. It's perfect.
So you don't want to do that. You don't want to look directly up at buddy. That would be a little creepy. Let's start with this individually. Give me like a quick what do they call it? The elevator bio, just so I can kind of get a grip on the three of you together, and then we'll move on towards that. So Jesse, what got you into this whole? By the way, the word paranormal now extends from like to here. It's almost everything. It's like there's so many things that now people call paranormal, but as far as ghosts, that's its own style. So what got you into like the whole paranormal world on your
That's
own?
true. I mean, it started as, just a love for Halloween, and then it turned into going over to Rob's house, which I'm sure he'll get into in a little bit, which he grew up in like a haunted house. So we would go visit there and started kind of some rather amateur ghost hunting there. And then it got into the ghost shows, and then we started our own show a while back. Nothing really happened with that. We kind of just stored a lot of footage, which actually worked out now, because now that we have an actual show going on here, we were able to go back and use a lot of that footage and some of those stories to work into the new show. So, Rob came out with the idea to start Hometown Ghost Stories, and I was immediately on board, considering we had kind of already done it already. And I'm kind of the audio / graphics guy, kind of,
All right.
the behind the scenes guy that gets everything going.
You just said two things, though. One made a lot of sense. One made no sense. The one that makes no sense is you had a friend who had a haunted house, and you kept going over that friend's house. No sense at all to me. Like that. When you said that, I cut off. I was like, well, I don't even know why he's thinking that. And
for people that are into it, this is like an amusement park, right? It's like we love this stuff. We love the hunt. It's like, oh wait, and we got one in one of our backyards, literally. Then let's go there and get drunk on a Friday night and just ghost hunt. That
I see now. That I get. Secondly, the thing you said that was dead on was what I keep telling this kid: just keep storing footage. Just keep doing it. Keep putting the hours in. Keep logging in the hours. Keep logging the hours. That's what we just keep doing, plugging along. Whatever happens. But that's the best thing you can do is just keep plugging along. So
yeah, a lot of that stuff. It's like if you log this footage, you record yourself investigating this thing. Maybe you don't notice something right away, but you go back to that footage and you start noticing things that you didn't notice the first time. You got to watch all this footage over and over again and have multiple people watch this footage to catch something that you might not have caught. It might be an orb. It might be a voice that someone didn't hear. So, it's something that you never want to delete and throw away. You want to keep going back over it to see what you guys got.
All right. Let's swing to the right in the Brady Bunch fashion. Mr. Coakley. Is it Coakley? I'm sorry, Coakley.
It is Coakley, but Oakley is a good mistake because the haunted house that I grew up in was originally known as the Oakley Farm. So that is.
I was thinking of the basketball player for the Knicks, but
yeah, same thing. He was haunting as well.
He very was much so. He still is. They won't let him back in the gymnasium. He's
well. I mean, when you're going to try to fight the owner, which everyone wants to do, that's what happens.
All right.
Yes. So, like they said, me, Jesse, and Dave have been friends for a long time. And I had this house. It was my grandparents' house. They bought it in the 60s. And there are stories of hauntings well before they purchased it. So then I started having my own experiences there. Grandparents started having their experiences. My mom, her sisters. So there's tons of stories of the house. And just real quick, if we want to talk about the original one that scared me, I was downstairs one day, and my brother's 6 years younger than me. He was 2 at the time. I was 8. Middle of the day, he's supposed to be sleeping. He starts screaming, and he was like one of those kids that gets into everything. So we just figured he hurt himself. So me and my mother went upstairs to check on him, and he's got his back to the corner, and he's as white as a ghost, and he's pointing, going, "The man, mummy, the man, the man, mummy, the man." And come to find out, the house, the guy who owned Oakley Farm in the beginning, he went out to get a cow that ran away. And this is all documented in a newspaper from 1949. and he never came back home. And he's been missing ever since. The body was never recovered. And there's multiple theories on what happened to him, but there are sightings of a man at that house. There are voices. There are everything. And we did our original episode on that house. And several months later, the new owners of the house, because we sold it back in like 2014 or 15, messaged me and they said, "Is this the house?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "I own this house now." And they started telling me things that I didn't put in the episode that used to happen there to kind of corroborate that they were experiencing now. So it's an interesting house.
It sounds like a great time. I mean, and I mean that sarcastically for myself.
I hated it. I hated that house.
Yeah,
I had the opportunity to buy that house for very little money, and I hated it so much that I wouldn't even buy the house.
Yeah, rented to somebody you hate. Dave, first off, great beard. Second, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Yeah, my beard's it's all right. It's got nothing on buddies there. But
oh no, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Great. I just said great beard. You guys heard me, correct? You guys, you got your headphones on? I said great beard, right? That's all I said. I didn't say buddy level.
That was the end of it, right?
You okay, buddy?
Yeah, I can hear you, dude.
All right. Dave.
Yeah, so I got I don't know why they included me in this whole ghost story thing, because I was the resident skeptic. So when they would all go do the ghost hunting stuff at Rob's house, I would go along and just be the skeptic because I never really believed in all that stuff. But I always had a fascination with it. I thought it was interesting. I liked the paranormal stuff. I like the idea of ghosts. I would have to see something very convincing to sway me. But it's a healthy, respectful skepticism, you know. I'm not one of those like arrogant jerks that goes in and just tries to debunk everything. Like, I want to understand what's going on, but in order for me to fully buy in, I would have to see something pretty compelling. Which
so that word I've been volleying back and forth with. So, can you be still skeptic? Because we had one guest on. I'm like, so you call yourself the skeptic? He's like, yeah, I'm the skeptic. And then I'm like, well, have you had any experiences? And he had like 8 experiences that like changed his life. And it's like, are you just not the level-headed one? Or you maybe the one that's the picky? Or you're the one that's, but skeptic at some point, can you be skeptical when you really realize that this shit's real?
It's yeah, I mean it's a word that doesn't really mean what you kind of like what you want it to mean, I guess. It's because you can either deny everything you see, or you can where I kind of am is like I understand. If I understand something, that's one thing. If I see something I don't understand, I'll chalk it up as, okay, I don't understand what I'm seeing or hearing. I'm not going to automatically say yes, ghost, but I will say, okay, I don't understand.
You haven't been shook yet.
No.
Okay. Have you guys had that moment where you've been like shaken to the point where you're like, yeah, this is kind of real?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, at the old house, I went in. So I was living in the house by myself for like 2 years, and I walked in about 1 a.m. Hadn't been drinking that night, and I went to the bathroom to brush my teeth, get ready for bed, all that fun stuff. And I leave my bedroom TV on 24/7. So I'm in the bathroom, I hear a conversation happening, and I think nothing of it because to me, it's just got to be the bathroom TV. So I walk out of the bathroom and I open the door to the bedroom. And as soon as I walk into the bedroom, the conversation stops. I look at the television's off, and I'm just standing there for a second, and then a male voice. And I can't tell you what he said because I don't remember, because I was just so like fucking shook. Sorry if we can't swear on this show. 3 or 4 words were screamed down the stairs, like screamed. And like, I get goosebumps every time I tell a story because I just think of it in my mind. And
well, then you can say the words. Now I want to hear it.
I don't know what he said. I can't remember. There was like 3 or 4 words that were screamed. And I was so shook that I heard it, but didn't hear what was said to me.
You just know they were curse words.
I just know that I swore right then. That's why I said I'm sorry if we can't swear on this show. I don't know what he said though.
That's not cool.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
So, Dave, we've been doing this show for like, I don't know, a while. And what I learned is, because I came into this knowing nothing. I had twins in 2003. So I was like in a bubble world where I missed ghost hunters completely. Like when I came out of all this and I started talking to Buddy, because I'm like from the band days, he does Ocean State Paranormal. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do a paranormal show at the end of the week from all the sports shows. And then he started talking about all this, and I got involved in this. It's like I've gotten like my associates in it, like I've learned which sides I agree with now, which sides I don't agree with now. I mean, I don't flat out argue with somebody if I don't agree with them, but some of the stuff I don't know if I buy, and some of the stuff I do buy. The issue I have with spirits is, it seems to me that something traumatic has to happen for it. Well, this is what I think. Traumatic things have to happen somewhere along the line in the story for this spirit to be where it is, or it could be, as Buddy's shaking his head, I guess a loving feeling, which is the same, Buddy. That's the same feeling. I keep telling you, it's just the opposite.
They don't have to have a traumatic. They don't have to kill themselves. So like,
no, but there has to be a
don't
strong...
have to. They could just, Mike, you and your wife could live in your house for 50 years, raise your kids go off to college, get married, have their own kids. You get older than you are now, and someday you go. But that spirit,
Buddy, you're trying to tell me that I gotta die and that I'm gonna live with my wife forever in the house?
I don't know, Mike. You might hang on to that house.
Great story.
Well, you do have to die to be a ghost.
Mike, by the way, an awful
Just
ghost.
Just stop. But your analogies are like they're like the Dolphins.
Right, winning.
Guys, I'm sorry about Buddy. He'll be reprimanded on Tuesday. We'll see how we can take care of this. Trying to move along, though, however, positive or negative, some sort of energy always seems to happen around the spots that draw the most paranormal activity. Dave, would you give me that? I mean, King Coakley, would you give me that?
I don't agree with that completely. I mean, we've covered plenty of stories where it's just mundane tasks that are being repeated, right? Like as in terms of spiritual sightings.
Then why is that?
You're been in that place for so long, you're attached to that place, right? So you probably had great experiences, you probably had negative experiences as well, but that's just the way it is. Like if you lived in somewhere. But
right. There are different kind of hauntings from different kind of ghosts. So you have your intelligent hauntings, which seem to be targeting certain people. You have your poltergeist activity, you have demonic activity, and then you have a residual haunting, which might just be something that doesn't even know it's a ghost and is just repeating the steps that it took in life. It might be some dude who walked out to his garage to wipe off his car every morning or go get the newspaper. And someone might just see a ghost walk out to down the driveway, turn around and come back like it's going to go get its newspaper. And it's not necessarily like the ghost is intelligent. He's thinking, I must go do this. It could be just these events repeating themselves over and over.
Well, let me ask you this. But the mundane tasks, they also could be just, and I know this is going to sound crazy, time blips or time repeats. I find it hard that someone's spirit would remain and do mundane tasks. Like
it's
that.
Not that they're choosing to do that. Yeah, no, I agree. It's not that they're choosing to do that. It's that this could be, it's just something that's happening. There's a theory called the stone tape theory, where basically energy gets trapped in certain kind of stones, or water also retains energy. Also, water also has memory. It's scientifically proven. And so when something happens that can cause these events to reoccur, then something mundane, as something that's happened over and over again, could repeat itself. I don't really know what the exact actions are that could trigger it. It might be different in every case, but these are the beliefs, and this is why they think, sometimes a ghost might just be wandering down a hallway and it's not reacting to you or any of your equipment. It just seems to be doing the same thing over and over again. There's just different kind of ghosts that do different kind of hauntings.
I guess it would, in my head, I separate those from other hauntings or other spirits that are trying to communicate, stuff like that. Like those repeat mode blips that people talk of, they seem less like hauntings and more like I just said, like just a repeat blip that someone happens to come upon, right? There's no intention by it. It's not meant to not to do anything, right?
It boils down to what, like, if you ask somebody, like, do you believe in ghosts? Or if someone asks me, do you believe in ghosts? I might respond with a question and say, well, what is your definition of a ghost? If a ghost is some, transparent figure that walks around in chains and goes, woo, I'm going to probably say, no, I don't believe in that kind of ghost. But the stone tape theory, I find the most compelling. Like if your idea of a ghost is residual energy that's left over after somebody dies, then yeah, I guess I do believe that's ghost, because the number one theory or the number one rule of physics is all the energy that exists is the same energy that ever existed. So when you die, that energy goes somewhere. It leaves your body in the form of heat, which is basically tangible energy. So if that energy leaving your body is in fact a ghost, then yeah, I believe in ghosts. I don't believe that there's really anything, there's no degree of sentience. I don't know if it's aware of its existence, but that energy that leaves your body, it goes somewhere. And if that's your definition of a ghost, then I'm with you.
Yeah, I would think that if it's an energy that leaves our body, it would have to be somewhat intelligent. I don't know why I think that. I just do. I think that there is a soul. There is something that's going to move anywhere else, no matter what it does. It would be somewhat intelligent. That's why I don't know. There's like demonic hauntings. I get stuck on those. Again, the repeated ones I see as odd things.
Well, because they're boring.
Well, no,
right?
they're not just boring. It's just that like they almost seem like a time glitch. I see. I'm a big believer that there's different. I'm not gonna go Marvel Universe on you. I'm just thinking I've always believed there's different timelines. Just always have. Like just always think that time
dimensions that overlap.
Time doesn't have to be just linear. And plus, if there's ever been a blip in time at all, there would be multiple lines. Anyways, I think things just kind of get bumped, and I even think that has to do something with the paranormal world, the spirit world, to some degree. Then there's the flip side when they're hauntings. Now, guys, here's an issue I have that I bring up all the time. When you hear a child's voice, is it a child or is that a demon pretending to be a child, pretending to be a woman?
Well, demons, the theory is that demons will try and trick you. So there's so many different variations of demons. There's different religions that they're tied to, and there's different ideas that go along with it. So one of the more popular ones is that demons will try to trick you to get you to trust it or to basically invite it in. And one of the ways they'll do that is they'll try and get you to sympathize with the child ghost. So you see that in like the Annabelle story.
So listen. So what's weird is I have a split with the Johnsons, with Carl and Keith Johnson. They both believe something different. One thinks that it's really could be a child. One believes that it's a demon posing a child. And I can't get off the fact that how could it be a child? Like I can't buy into like I keep saying, the fact that the child would do something and die, horribly and just be stuck there at all. Like I think that in my head, kids and dogs go right up. So I don't think they would be stuck there. But I think that would be the perfect place for evil to come into the world. I've always said, like I kept saying, like where really good dies from something evil, that's where something really evil can be born. So it's like, because everything's black and white again, guys. Like I flipped.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of this came from like religion, right? So you had a lot of the demonic stories and ideas came out of the 60s and 70s during the demonic panic, which was a very religious based time. And basically you had, so for a religious person, I think it would be very difficult for them to say there could be a child ghost because it doesn't align with their religious beliefs that a child is innocent and their soul would directly go to heaven. So I think that's why the child ghost or the child demon theory got so mainstream, was because a lot of what was happening during the demonic or the satanic panic.
Where do you guys weigh in on that? When you hear a child's voice,
I think for me it could be one way or the other, and I weigh on the side of caution, where it's like you never want to be caught off guard, because if it is something demonic, then that's what it's trying to do, is catch you with your guard down, right? So you just don't want to mess with that kind of stuff. But I do believe that there could be child ghosts. I don't know what kind of hauntings that would be, but I mean, we've heard child's voices come through EVP. We've caught a very, very clear child's voice at Emily's Bridge up in Vermont, which was just an EVP on a voice recorder. One of the creepiest pieces of evidence that we've caught. And I can't say whether or not it's something demonic. I mean, like we think Dave is probably out of the three of us, the bigger expert in all things demonic. So
see how you just said that though, how you said about the voice was creepy. Mm-hmm. Like that's what my point is. Like when you hear a child's voice, right, and it's creepy, to me that's a bad sign right away. That's like,
well, I think it was more so just creepy because we caught that voice, like what she said on the voice recorder well, I guess it could have been creepy. She said behind you. Some people
We think that's
interpret
what
it
she
differently.
said.
We think she said behind you. We were on the bridge, but it's it was just we were more creeped out that we actually caught a voice. Like, oh my god, that's a kid. That's creepy. You know, but it wasn't like specifically saying anything like I will come and haunt you in your dreams or anything. You know, like the message wasn't all that creepy. It could have been interpreted as creepy, but yeah, I think it's more so just the fact that you're getting something that is clearly a child. And we got another one that could have been a child. We were investigating the Oliver house in Middleborough.
Yes.
And we got what did it say? It was a one-word answer, but it was like a whisper. And it was very, very clear. And when we aired it on the podcast, everyone agreed, like, oh man, yeah, that's absolutely a whisper voice. It was different than any other voice that came through. That was on the spirit box. But it was different than any other voice that we got. And it was definitely it definitely sounded like a child.
And if you want juxtaposition for these two things, we covered the Mineral Springs Hotel, and there was a young person in the basement area pool that was pretty much considered to be demonic in nature based on the way it was acting. But there was also a child ghost seen on the second floor that just was playing and never interacted with people. So if it's demonic and it's a child, then wouldn't it be looking to approach the people, but yet it never did?
Not always.
No, I think just inhabiting its space would be enough.
Potentially,
Reliving the
but
pain that
I'm
they
just
child lived.
showing the two differences here. Like, we don't know, like, if it hasn't demonstrated demonic activity at this moment, like, there's a good chance that this is also a child ghost. So, like, we don't know what it is, right? So
Yeah, you know, and then you get the people that can cross over or claim that they can cross people over. We obviously can't prove that they're crossing people over, but that's what they say they can do. So when that comes in, it's like, all right, if you have the power to cross people over, wouldn't you go on like a world tour of every place that had kids and just be like with the bus, beep, going inside and freeing all the kids and getting back on the bus and you're off again? Like, honestly, God, I would be like, let's go free some spirits, guys, and we just go everywhere they say there's kids, especially places that have attractions. Like, their main attraction is you walk through this thing where it used to be a kid's like hospital, and all these kids are there. And we just take somebody through and wipe that place completely out.
It would almost be a scumbag thing not to go do that if you knew how, right?
That's my point, though.
Yeah.
They keep saying, everyone just keeps saying, oh, they know how to do this, they know this. It's like, and then you know what they hit you with, which is like well, they have to want to. What do you mean they have to want to?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what they say back to you. You say, well, why don't you cross them over? Well, they have to want to.
Well, maybe they started hunting. They're like, hey, this is actually a lot of fun. I'm scaring the hell out of these people.
But if it's a little kid, how does a little kid know anything? You know what I mean? Like, of course, a little kid's probably having fun scaring people, but it's a little kid. Shouldn't you tell the little kid what the little kid should do?
But again, like, the thing we always say is we don't make the rules. So whoever is quote unquote making these rules might have different intentions than what we would have.
And also that little kid could be from the 1900s, and that little kid at this point is like, I'm older than you, asshole. Like,
Yeah.
I would still be, you know, if he was like that, I'd still be like, dude, what? So tell me what the fuck you're doing here.
Yeah.
There's so many other places you could be, dumb face.
Yeah.
Why'd
All
you
right,
do
Gary
here?
Coleman. Yeah. All right, Gary Coleman. You still look like
Yeah.
a 4-year-old. I'm going to tell you what to do.
Way to go, Webster. You're still here, aren't you? Right? By the way,
we do have a fun story of a child ghost coming up in a couple weeks that would show up and basically show where his body was until it was found and then disappeared for a long time. So it could be unfinished business as well.
that I'm in. For some reason, that makes sense to me. Like, did you see what I mean? Like, that clicks with a universal balance. But again, there was a horrific fire here and 20 kids died. And if you walk through, you can hear kids talking and playing with stuff. And I'm always like, where are we with this? Like, you know, what's fun about this here? Like, where am I missing paranormal world? Where I'm like, fun. Hey, let's go listen to all these kids that were trapped from a fire. And you're like, that's not fun. Where did I miss the fun? You know what I mean? Like that. So, I mean, like, do you guys feel the same way, or it doesn't matter to you? It's just, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's more like you just view it as it is what it is.
I think people are attracted to like the more horrifyingly devastating stories. That's why houses like the Villisca house are so popular. You know, like the Axe Murder house. It's just in a lot of these insane asylums where people were tortured and beaten and caged up. It's like, oh, take me there. That's dark and creepy. It's the same reason you watch horror movies. It's like, well, why would you enjoy that? Why don't you watch a Disney movie? It's like, well, because I want to see messed up stuff.
It's the same reason that tragedies get the big headlines. on newspapers, and it's the same. That's life, and it's the same in death. It's the negative stuff that gets the big press.
The negative gets the positive.
Yeah, you don't want to go ghost hunting at a place that isn't scary, right?
You've never heard a ghost story that's been like, and I turned the corner and she was folding the sheets. Ah,
Guys,
all the time, actually.
Yeah,
guys, I keep saying
got
I've been pitching a show where every week they go out and they find nothing. Never. Every week, episode after episode after episode, nothing.
Unfortunately, that's probably most ghost shows until
no,
they
but
add in the
I
special
wanted
effects
to
after.
be like, I want to make fun of them for it. I want to make sure people see that boring side of it. Like, I want to film like a good 20 minutes of Buddy just sitting there drinking a coffee. And then
Sitting there in the dark, too, for
in the
20
finale, we make a big deal out of it, and then we find nothing.
Well, like
That's what I-
reviewing like 40 hours of video only to find just dust floating by the whole time, man.
That's all we get.
My God, nothing sucks more than that.
Because some people get stuff and some people make stuff up. And you can kind of tell right away. You guys, I can tell. Anyone Italian in the room?
We're like
25%.
25 or 30% Italian. Me and
Like
Dave. I'm sorry,
half.
I'm pointing the wrong way. That way. Yeah, me and Dave.
All right.
And I'm like half.
Portuguese?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Portuguese.
we're a little bit of that. So basically, you could name pretty much any race.
go,
and
buddy.
We're gonna be part of that. Yep.
There you go, buddy. I know who I'm talking to. No, I'm a full Italian married to a Portuguese female. I know exactly what I'm dealing with here. So, guys, you can sense bullshit a mile away. Am I correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I like to think so. I don't like to. A lot of times it's obvious. I won't always point it out if it's obvious, but I also don't like to assume people are lying, because what if they're not, and what if just it's just their character that
Or what if
makes
they're
it
crazy?
seem like it comes off disingenuous. But I don't ever like to discount or discredit people's experiences.
Well,
but
But Dave, it's also what if they're not mentally. I mean, listen, I say this a lot, and people like push it away quick, but mental health slides its way into the paranormal world from time
Yes,
to time.
so,
And I always see it come through, and you feel bad for those people because what they're talking about is as real to them as real could be. So it's like you can't really even argue it or debate it because that's real, and that's just how that goes.
It's
Yeah,
hard to
that's
discount that stuff. And I mean, this field is full of two kinds of people. You have people that, well, a lot of kinds of people, actually. It's a very widespread amount of people.
But I know the two main
do,
ones. Good.
Yeah, you have people who believe everything that they see, and you have people that want to debunk everything they see. And it's very hard to find people in between. We like to consider ourselves people that are in between. Like, we're not afraid to go to a location, investigate the location, and let you know on the podcast that we found nothing. It doesn't mean it's not haunted, but a lot of times, like, you need to go to a place multiple times to actually catch some real evidence. It's about the scientific process too. So even if you go to a location once and it's crazy and haunted, well, you should repeat that process, because that's the scientific process, and see if you get the same results when you do the same kinds of tests. And if you get the same kind of results, that means you might actually have something tangible. And that's the only way to scientifically investigate these things. So it's hard to just go off one place. And but again, we're not afraid to just say, we got nothing here. We didn't catch anything.
You can't, because on top of that, you'll also bump into people that will have seen a UFO, met Bigfoot, met a ghost. Give me a couple of the cryptids. They'll just name everything, and somehow they've done every single one of the things that they've said, and it's like
Yeah,
you want to
seen it all. Yeah, some people search their entire lives to see one of these things. You've seen them all this week.
That's my point. That's my point. When you get to a point where it's like that, it's like, how did that happen? Like, what makes you so special? Like, I have to say, like, what makes you lucky? Like, what? And they tell us, and it's like,
I could tell you what guest you're talking
I'm
about.
not-
I know exactly.
I just
what
don't
you're
know how
talking
you can connect to everything. Like, I really, I mean,
about. I saw everything. Everything.
I guess. I mean, I guess I don't really buy
Not
that.
just one Bigfoot, a whole family of Bigfoot. He could identify the males from the females. Every ghosts, his grandmother. UFOs.
Happened to forget his camera that day. Yeah,
Right.
Bigfoot story goes. Yeah.
But if I ever whack somebody, I'm never telling you. You
Ever.
talk, you blab, you just let stuff out. Stop talking about this
I
guy.
didn't say
We already
his
know who he
name.
is.
I just said he was a guest.
Yes, I know, but you're detailing everything he said verbatim just then for a second.
That also narrows it down pretty.
Yeah, right. Allegedly. Yeah, no. But it's someone that if you go out every single time and you find something every single time, to me that's a credibility drop. Like, come on, every single time. Like, really, everything every single time. I guess. Like, I mean, I guess, but people want to say they're more open. That's That's what I get back. I'll be like, well, how come when you go, you always catch something? It's I think I'm more open.
Yeah, a lot of people, they call themselves a sensitive, and they're more likely to feel stuff in certain areas and everything. Like, for instance, I know we all met on the USS Salem. We went around and we did some investigations while we were there, because obviously we were there for the whole weekend.
Do it.
We got nothing, and that's
Really?
fine. Yeah, we're going back, I think, next week or the week after or something like that. We'll do another investigation. We'll have a more private,
or a month and a half, whatever. I mean,
is it a
it's
month and a
all-
half? I don't know. My
time's
timeline's screwy.
relative. Time's
Very-
relative.
For
Very
us,
busy couple months, but
the
we went
chiefs
over
rooms
this,
on
yeah.
one end and the anchor room on the other were fantastic, and everything else was there.
It was
Yeah,
also tough because there were so many people on the boat, so you don't know what noises or what.
Right.
So
It was
it's
just
better to
us.
have
It was
it
like
solo.
5 of us.
When we went,
Oh, really?
when we went solo before the thing to the Salem, it was me and my wife, buddy, just a couple other people. These sons of bitches had caught someone saying my last name, and they wouldn't tell me about it. They just wouldn't tell me about it. Like they took all the videotape home, and they're like, we got some great footage. And then in the Chiefs room, like when my wife had the anxiety attack and her chest felt so funny for some reason, she had to leave. That's the only time that happened to her the whole night, because she's very skeptical. And even in that room, I constantly felt like someone was staring me down. I can't explain it to you. Like I kept like,
a good room.
I kept being like, what the fuck? Why? You don't hear someone staring you down, like it's a stare down. And you're like, and you don't, and you feel like you need to acknowledge them at least. Like I can't explain it. But I'm in the room. I would walk like right into his quarters. I'm in his quarters. I'm looking right into like the mirror that he looks into, where his locker is, all that stuff. I'm definitely in his space, right? And these jerks hear my last name said, which is terrifying, because if he said my first name, said Mike, who cares? I don't want to know if it's more than that.
It's
And you know what?
bad.
Actually,
in that very same room, I'm sitting on these little stools. Mike's in the corner, like, "Hey, are you in here? Are you in here?" I'm like, "Spirit, where are you?" There's a voice like right next to my recorder, right next to you. It's a man's voice. It's as clear as day. It's like one of those things that makes every hair on my body stand up. Like, oh my god.
I'm not a big believer in things like that, guys. I don't go to a lot of stuff like that, but there were definitely certain rooms in that place that are different. The control room in the front, where when you go in, they got the big boards up and they get the dry erase shit out.
The anchor, the anchor room.
That room, it almost feels like time died and stopped in that room, right? You get inside that room and there's no air, and it's like you can see out into the ocean. You can see all the old equipment, and it's so unusual. But I'm being dead serious when I say that it's so quiet and dead that it felt like I was walking around, but time was stopped. Like everything just stopped. We were in this spot where like it didn't even feel like anything. Buddy, am I right? It was just a weird act.
In that very spot, we actually got a little girl's voice. And according to Don, they tend to think it's maybe not so much a little girl, but maybe a negative entity posing as a little girl. I got 4 or 5 EVPs of a little girl like right there with us.
An elemental, he thinks it is.
I couldn't tell you where she came from, but
that's what he thinks it is. He thinks it's an elemental.
Yeah, right.
I think that's a common reoccurrence across haunted places as well, though. Like when you go to a house or a space, certain rooms feel different.
Yeah,
so we did the Oliver house. I went into the wife's old room, and as soon as I went in there, I just felt different. When we went to Emily's Bridge, we also investigated a hotel, which I didn't really feel much at, but when we went to the Bridge, it was like, this feels different than other places we've been. And if you went to my grandparents' old house, the basement was the most terrifying looking place that there was, but nothing felt, you didn't feel anything in there. But if you were on the second floor, it felt terrifying. So like, it just really depends on the place in the room, and there's just certain energies in certain places.
Let me ask you guys something. You travel around, right? And you do different towns, and you do different locations. Have you ever done Block Island?
Yeah.
Guys,
Yep.
I've been going back and forth to Block Island for years, and friends of mine got me into a place over there called the Hygeia House. And it was just absolutely phenomenal.
It's funny you
when
say
did you
that.
go to Block Island?
Oh, this is you, Mike. I did this back in 2013. It was case number 2 for Ocean State Paranormal, number 3 actually, and we got more evidence from that place that was so like real, terrifying.
Buddy, we both
Not
know that
terrifying,
Rick.
but
We
it's
both
real.
know that Rick. We both know that Rick Lysick, the guy that owns the club on.
Me and Rick talked about going into Hygeia again. So
yeah, the guy that does the ghost tours on Block Island wants us to go there.
Yeah,
better not find out you went without me, buddy. That
Mike,
can't
we're
be
gonna
good.
do this.
Better
in
not be
October.
Block
We got
Island.
October 23rd, Mike.
All right. I want to go to Block Island.
We're
Really,
gonna
but I've
rock it
never
on the
been.
block, and I'm gonna
Never-
try to investigate while I'm out there.
We're actually going back on the 14th, and when I went out there, I did ride around with Rick, who is a great guy. Showed me a bunch of spots. Good guy, him and Holly from Block Island Ghost Tours.
Yep.
We're going out to record a show with the podcast that runs out of there, but where Rick and Holly are actually looking to get us a place to investigate the night that we're there.
Oh, guys, anywhere over there. All right, so there's an author called, her name is Fran Migliaccio. She wrote 2 books called Ghosts of Block Island.
Yep.
Every place in there is like super haunted. I've been to most of them, and they're not to investigate, just to like go through. You get that feeling in some of those rooms, like
So
that uncomfortable feeling.
we got into Block. We met Rick through his younger brother, his older brother, Dave. Is Dave older or younger?
He's younger. I've actually known Rick for more years, but yeah,
Dave's older.
Dave's younger, I think.
Anyways, his brother with all the dreads, Dave. So I've known Dave my whole life, well, not my whole life, but since my early 20s, which at my age, that's my whole life. And when I found out that his brother was doing tours on Block Island, and I was like, ghost stuff, I was like, that's kind of odd, like that we meet up again. So we did a live show at the Parlor in Providence, technically, towards Pawtucket. It's owned by guys that like I used to be in the whole band scene with Dave. And we had a bunch of speakers come up and speak about the paranormal. And we're doing another one on October 27th. We're doing ghost stories. It's kind of like a stand-up. We don't let people take up like graphs and have to listen to the things because you can't really hear stuff through those speakers. But it's more fun to kind of just put people in front of the fire. And I think ghost stories might be fun. But the whole Block Island thing seems like it's scary as hell, just the way that they describe it to me. Like
Tremendous history, dude.
Yeah, like when you guys went that first time, did you get a feeling or did you get a sense of how scary it is, I guess?
Well, I went out there a couple years ago on my own, nothing ghost related, but I was telling these guys, this is a place we need to cover. I don't even know the history, but I guarantee there's stuff on this island.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
I was there. I stayed there for a week and a half in November a few years ago. So it's when the island's quite dead. And just some of the places I was walking around to at the time was like, this place is creepy as hell. And then you start finding out some of the stories there. And that's why I was like, I need to go over there and I need to like really research it. And that's when I get a hold of Rick and Holly. And there's some stories that I didn't tell on our Block Island episode that I'm holding to do another episode of.
Part 2.
Yeah, part 2, because I wanted to really focus on the lighthouses for the first episode and the Palatine, because the Palatine is there.
Mohegan Bluffs, dude. All the that happened there.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of focus on their main history, but they have some houses there that have some like really haunting history that I want to dive into a little more on our next episode. I almost wore my Block Island Ghost Tours shirt tonight.
And you know what's fucked up, messed up, is that I almost did too. Which would have been really weird. See, Rick pitched almost that same thing to me. He was like, come down Saturday night, we'll go investigating. Sunday night, you guys do your show live here, whatever. And I'm like, that sounds great. But how about Saturday night, we stay at the bar. Sunday night, we do the show. Like, I don't want to go. I don't, like they do. They're probably going to want to go. But I don't want to go do that. And it's because people that I know, like, I guess growing up in the area, Providence area, like, I've heard such messed up stories about Block Island. Like, I've had friends that have had such weird experiences on Block Island that in my head, I've always thought Block Island is messed up. There's just something on Block Island, something about Block Island when people come back with stories. And it's always like, not like really super creepy, but like enough where they're like, I don't know what the hell that was. You know what I mean? You know, when someone's like, I just don't know what the freak that was. And I don't know how to explain it. But like Block Island has that, like, I don't know.
It's like constant moving water. It's got that geographic feel. It's got a lot of rock, you know. They've been settled there since 1663. The Native Americans there before had bloody warfare. It was a happening place, dude. There was a lot of tragedy, if you say that causes it.
You guys
But if you're there also like overnight, right? Especially if you're not there in the summer when there's like less than 1,000 people on the island,
right?
You almost feel trapped because you're on this small it's like 3 by 4 miles or something.
2 bars are open.
Yeah, 2 bars that are open.
One of them is Rick's.
And guess what? You can't leave. You technically can't leave.
No, you really can't.
There's no ferry that's bringing you out of there at midnight. There's no plane probably that's going to be taken off. You're there till morning, so you are essentially quote unquote
On an
trapped
island.
on that island. Yeah,
Yeah, you're on an island. Yeah,
Yeah.
Deserted. You're on a
Yeah.
deserted island.
basically, you're on Block Island. They just go, hey, go look, guy.
so
Hey,
that's
guy,
probably
go look, get your bags, guy, get your bags. I'm sorry.
and that's part of the thing, right? So like that's probably in your head a little bit, and it's a beautiful place, but at night, some of the places out there are
Yeah,
a little
but that could be said for downtown Providence. Have you been there at night?
yeah, we used to go to the complex all the time in our early 20s. We know.
Yeah.
know about that.
I used to
All right,
DJ
all
down
right.
there every Thursday night. I would DJ down there, and
I-
it was a terrible time.
Really?
Every
All
time.
right, so wait, let's
Horrible,
back this up.
horrible place.
Let's roll this back. Let's roll this back because I'm going to figure out which area you guys are from. So, do you guys remember Mark Evans?
No.
There was a bartender down in the same area of the complex. So then, if you don't, you're pre him.
I
Are you
didn't- I
early
didn't know-
90s to
I
mid
didn't know
90s
bartenders
complex?
by name.
Oh no, we're early 2000s.
No.
Early 2000s.
Well,
All right, so we were playing shows. Did you ever go
Early-
see
Later,
bands?
later
play?
than that, I graduated
late-
in 2005, so we were late
2000s,
like-
early
Yeah.
2010s.
All right, so then that's 10 years behind. All right. So the complex, why the fuck were you guys going to complex? Complex was the worst place in the world. They
Oh,
had
it's-
that back
yeah.
room that
Yeah.
was just packed like sardines for some reason, and you had to figure out a way to get from point A to point B. And to me, that was the only goal of that back room. It was just to see if you could make it through the humanity because it was just
Yeah.
right.
The back room downstairs.
Yeah,
No,
downstairs.
By the time we went, that was like the house music room, and that was before the house music boom, or
Oh,
after the first house music boom and before the second one. So that room was always empty. So you used to go there just to make your way upstairs and go to that
no.
weird rock and roll room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was up in the weird rock and roll room, but that was techno back in the time. And everybody just happened to seem to be drinking water. You know what I mean? They
Oh,
charge
yeah.
you $19 for a little bottle of water, but they don't know what's going on. Pump the music.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Kids dropping from heart attacks. Pump the music. Whatever. Moving on. So, how do you guys get along when you have to come up with an investigation? Like, which one of you guys is the one that says, we're doing it this way? Or is it a complete 2 votes, get it?
I think,
Are you talking about deciding which location to do? or
Just
once we're at
decide
the
how to do
location?
stuff. And all kinds of organization, groups, whatever it is, bands, whatever you want to call it. Someone has to make that final decision. Someone has to be the one that does all the back work. And then someone ends up being the one that is the face that takes all the abuse, puts themselves up there. Like you don't
So
have
you're right.
roles.
There's 2 different ways that we do this. And I think the reason that we were able to put out so much content is because we split it up evenly. So it's each week one of us takes one location, cover the entire location. We do like the way the show is laid out is we do like a 15 to 20 minute pre-recorded, basically a documentary on the location, the history of the location, the reason that it's haunted, the people who died there. Whether or not we think it, we don't really get into whether or not we think it's real in that part, but we just give you the hauntings and the history, right?
All right,
And
but
it-
see
and
that
that-
right there? See that whole setup you just said?
Yep.
Who came up with that?
Rob.
Rob.
Well, Rob did the first
oh.
episode, and then we jumped in. We're like, all right, I'll do a week, and then Dave will do a week, and then we just keep
But-
it in the rotation.
Even just like the setup, though, like that whole that skeleton you just laid across me, which was awesome. The whole skeleton of that show aspect.
That was Rob.
I
Rob's
mean,
idea was the whole format. Yeah.
I wouldn't say. I mean, I started like I had an idea for a format, but the great thing about me, Jesse, and Dave is we're so like in sync on stuff. Like, do we agree on 100% of stuff? No,
can't.
but we've
It'd be
never
boring show if we
argued.
did.
We've never argued about like in terms of setting up the show. Like now we do an opening like 3-minute ghost story that we write. It's a fictional story that incorporates the real aspects of the haunting, and that was Dave's idea. So that's the opening part, and then we go into the history, and then we do the talk show portion. So like our contributions are always all of us in the show. Jesse
not
does
afraid
all
to
the
evolve.
music.
Not afraid to evolve with it, right?
No, absolutely not. I mean, if you're not trying to make your show better, then what are you doing? Like, if you're not constantly trying to improve upon what you're doing, then you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, right? Yeah, we love our format, but if something came along and was like, you know what, if we added this or took away this and this made it a little bit better, then we're gonna do it.
And you know
And
what
then-
it is? It's not even about popularity. It's about doing a good show. Like, I hope you
Exactly.
agree with me on that. Like I got that weird ethic about myself. By the way, as the night gets later and I drink, I start to like not pronunciate. I just get so tired because I talk all day long with my kids and whatnot. But anyways, back to what we're saying. I Actually, I don't remember what I was saying. You continue. King
All right. Well, I think that just all of us have our own different things that we bring to the show. Jesse produces all the music for our show, which I think gives us an edge over almost all the other shows that we're theoretically competing against. You know, we don't look at it in that aspect, but you are, right? Because you're all in that space. So for us, it was, how can we be different? How can we make ourselves stand out? And we haven't been doing this even a year yet, and we've had some decent success with it.
Two things, Jesse. One, I obviously can tell you're a DJ because the bass in your vocal mic is phenomenal. Like Sir Mix-a-Lot would be just jealous.
That's thanks to the preamp right there. Yeah.
LL Cool J with the booming systems. Secondly, what did you think of our intro song?
I missed the intro. I don't know if you noticed. I was like 10
damn
minutes
it.
late to the show, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna go back
I
and listen to
myself
it. Yeah.
write all the intros.
Oh no!
I've been writing all the songs.
We're on
Now.
the
I'm
same
up
page.
like 80 something songs, like little like not songs, but like intros. I try to explain that to people and they listen to them. I'm like, it's like an intro, so it's like these weird parts. It's not really a song per se. So it goes about a minute and a half. And I went over 80 something of them recently, just like because I'm constantly making them for the shows. Like to me, that's where I get to be me. Like that's the most fun. Like I get to make, fun intros and then learn how to edit. You know what I mean? Like doing this whole thing taught me how to do stuff, and I'm having a blast doing it. You know what I mean? But so you make all your own songs too, which is perfect for YouTube, perfect for all these bastards that want to say, "Oh, I'll strike you there. You can't."
Right.
Everything
exactly.
we play
It's just one hurdle we don't have to jump over, and then the graphic design as well helps. But yeah, the music is fun because we get to be a little bit creative with it. So it's like I'll also, if I have the time, I'll try to theme it after an episode. So like with Block Island and with a few other locations, we're dealing with the history of pirates. So I'm like, boom, that's an awesome excuse for me to make some damn pirate music. Finally, like I have what am I doing as a grown man making pirate music for any?
I don't know if there's ever a time to make pirate music, but I understand your sentiment and where you were going with that. I don't know.
That was a wonderful excuse to do it. I was like, yeah,
I still couldn't figure. Johnny Depp could be right there, dude, fully dressed, and I'd be like, I'm not really into the pirate music. I don't think I can pull it off.
You're not prepared. If Johnny Depp was right here, I'd be like, hey, Johnny Depp, let's listen to my pirate music, and then
he would. And I bet you he would not want to hear pirate music. That would probably.
I bet he'd be like, no, thank you. And they'd leave.
You get to do it anything. So, anyways, that's awesome that you guys use your own music. So you guys write your own stuff. You set your own stuff up. Now, you seem like you're doing it for the right reasons. You seem like you're doing it to get ahead, but not be just about getting ahead. Because, like, I love the shows and the different people in this whole community that like are grinding at it, that are working at it, that are doing shows just repeatedly and building, and they're trying to get better and bigger. They're not like saying like, "Buddy got raped by an alien," and like putting constantly on the screen like this, like all the time on a website, and trying to get people to hear us. But you know what happened? I'm sorry.
The probe is still hurting, Mike. I can't sit down.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
Oh, my own.
You're always standing up, dude. That's why I got to throw that in. Anyways, my point is, people are screaming like craziness just to get the attention, and then there's other shows that keep working away. You guys sound like you've all been doing it a while. You guys all have your heads on your shoulders. You guys all sound like you kind of know your roles in a weird way, which is tough. Like it's tough to find people around you, on a serious note, like literally to get a show done. It's like you don't want somebody that's gonna drag. Like when you get that one person that's a drag, you're like, Jesus Christ, like Joey Parano show. Our third host. This kid, I don't care that he's getting married next week. Like I could care less.
He was in the Guards this weekend, though.
I don't care that he's in the National Guard.
Thank you,
and I don't even care about that. He just keeps no-showing to the point where I said, Joe, you realize we're about to change your nickname from Joey Paranormal, which we only give him that nickname so people would hate him, to Joey Parano Show. And he's like, yeah, I'll make it. I'm like, well, don't make it. It's going to change.
Joey Parano Show is a great nickname. I don't
really
think I'd be upset about that, to be honest.
The guy we had before
every
Joey.
Paranormal Investigation, though, I can't say.
Before Joey, we had Genius Kev. Oh, and that name, boy, did that go up some people's asses sideways. Like there were some people that they immediately wanted to prove they were smarter than Kev. And just by name alone.
I hate him, and it's just because of his nickname. So thanks.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I give the nicknames, because it's funny that way. You don't want your own nickname, like Genius Kev. You're gonna hate him. A kid called Joey Paranormal comes on a paranormal show. I would hate that kid immediately. That's why he was given that name. But
You're
now
setting
it's gonna
yourself
be
up.
your
You're
turn,
setting
no
yourself
show.
up to be the most likable dude on the show.
No,
by
not at
giving
all.
riddles.
No, it never comes off that way.
Although Buddy has Buddy, and everyone loves
Jesse,
Buddy.
everybody loves Buddy. They
Yep,
all
that's true.
stick up for. Matter of fact, they stick up for Joey. And what I noticed is the meaner I am to Joey on the show, the more they'll stick up for him and be mean to me. And I love that because I know it's all bullshit, but they don't. So I'll just keep going with it and I'll lean into it. I'll be mean to Joey just to see what happens. And I've had some people like literally take the whole conversation and stop talking to me and just go, well, Joey, here's what I think. And I'm like, oh, this is great. This is fun. Like, I don't give a shit either way. It's just fun. I like the conversation. Which one of you guys is from the sports fantasy world? Obviously you're the helmets. I'm a guess it's going to be.
Yeah, no, that's me. I also work for Roto Grinders and Spike Week, and I do some on-air hosting for them, and I do some show production for them as well.
Well, our fantasy football show that we've done for the last couple of years, we're killing it with our picks. And I wish I was busting balls. We did a USFL show, buddy, in my line. We did a USFL show where we picked USFL games every week, and I was over 75% by the end of this season. And we picked the championship game, and we put our website on the line, my house, and then both my cars. Like, that's how convinced we were with this whole USFL shit. Like, because it was so like blatantly like one team had all these guys that were on like NFL rosters. One team had these guys that like they just never suited up in their life.
Never made the practice squad.
Did you find that being in the sports world, like the whole back and forth, how someone's always trying to up people? It's all about upping, getting in someone's face, that whole back and forth. When you come back to the paranormal world, have you noticed how passively aggressive that version of it is with paranormal? Like, it's still there, but it's passive aggressive. It's not in your face, gonna make fun of you like sports fantasy. It's like, oh, that's what you went to go investigate? I did that a while ago. That wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I mean,
like that kind of shit is what you get in the paranormal world.
Yeah, we saw that. The one that I see people doing that with is locally is the Conjuring House. So people are like,
"Go by it today."
Yeah. Oh, you went to the Conjuring House? Yeah, we did.
No, I drive by it going.
No, buddy. He's telling a story. He's telling a story, buddy.
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying you.
Sorry. Guys, I'm sorry. Can I apologize again? I'm sorry. HR
Tuesday morning. Right.
Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's just I saw that at the convention we were at. If somebody brought up the Conjuring House, other people in the group would almost like snicker, and it's like, but it's still important to go see that house, right? Like, so who are you to laugh at these people that went to it and investigated it? It's something that they wanted to do. That's something that they had the opportunity to do. They seized the opportunity. And a lot of times it's people that haven't done it. They'll be like, I don't want to do that one. It's too mainstream. It's like, no, you're one of those people that sit on the sidelines and you critique everybody and you don't go and do it your damn self. So you just feel, yeah,
it's not a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Event.
Right. So, I mean, who am I to say like you shouldn't go investigate this or that or the other thing? You should go investigate whatever you want to or whatever you can.
What I've learned is
go investigate everything you can, because these places, these locations are hard to get into. It's becoming a little bit more like easier to actually book places. People are realizing that there's some money behind it. So like you have asylums and haunted places that are like, they're now like open to that kind of stuff. But I mean, like 10 years ago, it was unbelievably hard to find anywhere to actually go that will let you go there legally to investigate. So now do all of the places.
Write letters and ask people and know somebody.
You're right. In other words, they treat it like a ride, like an amusement ride. Like they've been there. That's like, oh, that's Space Mountain, man. I've been doing that for years. It's like, it's like a house that has like paranormal activity. Like, how is every ride the same? Like, what are you talking about? Like, but that's how they talk, and I understand. It's like they have notches in their belts, and other people don't, and that's how they talk.
Or it's people with lack of commitment, right? So, like, how many shows do you know that go on? And it's like, we'll record this day, maybe, or we'll put out 2 shows this month or 7 the next month. That was a big thing for us. It's like we are live Tuesdays at 9 with very little to no exception. So that is our show time. Like, we do the show this time. Our audience knows we do the show this time.
I love these guys.
And some people, I've interacted with other shows and I'll follow their feed, and it's like, yeah, they have a show. They drop off the map. 2 months later, they have a show. 3 months later, they have a show, and then they're gone for good. So how are you going to build an audience? How are you going to do anything? And those type of people are going to be like, well, that goes when investigating those. Wait till they hear our stories. It's like,
But you want to speak to that before I do? Because I'll tell you what, that's the one thing we've made sure that we do. Even in my wrestling show, I do
gotta have the show,
wrestling
Mike,
show.
right?
Every
People will
show,
drop off, and it'll just be me and Mike just bullshit.
if no one
thank God-
shows the
thank God-
guest one show, we do the show anyways. If I'm
Thank God,
alone,
thank
I'll
God
talk
Rob didn't
around.
accidentally call you out, because that would have been awkward.
No, but I mean dead serious. Like
No, it's good. Yeah.
we missed one show in how many years? 2 years, 2 or so years.
One when your mom passed away.
Yeah, I was the only one.
When I was in the hospital, you guys went on, and I got the guest on the show anyway, and it was
Matter of fact, we put a picture of your what was it? What organ was it?
my
Pancreatis?
Christ, what was
Pancreas.
that? My,
Pancreas.
No, not my pancreas. The other one, the gallbladder. It was my gallbladder. Was,
Yeah, we
was-
put a picture of your gallbladder up there.
comic-
Yeah,
the caricature of my
Yeah.
gallbladder.
yeah.
with smiley
It's
face.
called caricature, but we'll take your word.
Caricature.
Caricature.
Well,
I like
my-
that word
my-
better.
I'm glad it was that, because I thought things were about to get real weird for a second.
No,
Yeah.
he's got his own words, but I like that. I like new words. But yeah, no, I think, dude, as far as doing a podcast, like I think you have to be there when you say you're going to be there. That's rule number one. And like, so what I started legitpodcast.com. So from that was Legit Fantasy Sports, and there's Legit Paranormal. We've got Bet on Sports 101. We've got the Fantasy Sports Reports. So they all come back to the same areas, but I had to split them up because I was getting complaints from the paranormal community that they didn't want to keep watching all these sports stuff. So I'm like,
Right.
so way back, I had to bring and branch out the I have like 3 different YouTube channels, well, 4, and then 3 different sites to direct it all. But like, it's not easy to do. And to make sure you're there for every show or someone's there for every show, to me is so huge when I watch other podcasts. Because you're right, when they don't, even if they don't come on for like 10 minutes late, I have an issue.
Barry took a few minutes to come on, but it came on.
I get angry when people, but like with me, when it hits 7:05, no matter what's going on, I just drop everybody and I start the show. It's like that with every show that we do, because I just figure, screw it, like whatever's gonna happen happens. I can talk for an hour by myself. I can talk for 4 hours by myself. I don't give a shit. Like, let's just roll this. Especially if it's sports, that's my wheelhouse. Paranormal, I gotta figure shit out, because dude, guys, I do not have anything that I've seen. I think maybe I've seen a UFO. That's beside the point. I think it did. Other than that, though, I don't want anything else to happen. I'm a big blocker. I just keep my head down, because I bought a new house. I keep thinking, like, in this basement, I'm just gonna look to the left.
You unplugged your mic. It's pretty impressive.
Mike, we can't hear you. Mike.
How about now?
There
Mike's
you go.
mic is back. Boom.
God damn it! I did it again. I get overexcited. My point is, I'm always afraid to see. I'm going to see a severed head or something, so I keep my head down. I don't want to see. Like, I'm purposely that guy. However, I don't rag on people that do want to see. I do rag on people that want to see and then like exploit it. Like, I can't explain where exploitation begins. I really can't. But I can sense it when it happens. Like, when I feel like somebody's really not even being respectful to the place that they're in, it's like something bad's gonna happen. In my head, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, guys, but this is what I think, you're messing with stuff in the first place. I don't care who it is, what you are, what's going on. If you put yourself in a position where you know there's stuff around you, activity around you, you're opening yourself up to both sides of it. I don't care what people say. Some people say, oh, it's only positive. I don't believe that bullshit. You're opening yourself up to anything. So if you're going to put yourself there in the first place and you're not going to be respectful about it and you're going to be like blasting it on, I just don't see good things that are going to happen. And to be quite honest, the old timers, which are even older than me, if possible, hate that shit. Oh God. It's not that they don't want you to have a show. It's that they just don't want you to be like, twerking on some grave. Like they have their standards is what I'm saying. They have standards.
That's understandable.
Yeah, I would set that as a standard. You guys feel what I'm saying though, with the whole way to the paranormal, like, because there is a paranormal underground within New England. It's like a band scene when I was in the band scene, but there is a paranormal scene, and I've started to meet more people and feel them out, and they all have that same feeling.
I do. I mean, it's a very careful community, and I've learned this. I mean, obviously, we've only been doing the show for about a year. We've been like in the paranormal and into investigating for a while, but I mean, once we started doing conventions and going out and meeting these, the people that are into this stuff, we realized that like they obviously they take this stuff very seriously, and that's a good thing. But I mean, like, dude, we joke around, like we bust each other's balls. We joke about stuff. We joke about ghost adventures. We joke about, like different paranormal shows and stuff like that. And, even on the USS Salem, people will come up to the booth and we would joke about like Zach Baggins or something like that. Right. And people would be like, oh no, well, he doesn't take ghost investigations seriously. I'm like, well, yeah, well, we're just telling a joke. And they're like, you can't. With some people, some people are great, but it just seems like it's a community that takes this stuff very, very seriously, which we also take it seriously, but just naturally we like to joke around with this.
Okay,
stuff.
So remember the person with the clown wrapped around them?
Yes.
All right, Buddy decided to take a buddy break and disappeared for 2 hours, leaving me alone to sit at that stupid table.
I was talking to you guys probably
to answer everybody's questions, right? She approached me and her first thing was, "Wow, Jesse's gone." First thing she asked me was, so wait a minute, you don't believe in everything? And I'm like, I was looking around for cameras. This is how unusual it was for me. I'm like, no, I don't believe in everything. Why would I believe in everything? And she's like, well, why would you do a paranormal show if you don't believe in everything? I'm like, why would I do a show if I believe in everything? How boring would that show be if I believed in everything? I was just like, and I did this, unfortunately, buddy, when I was drunk on stage at the last show we did live.
Right, we did.
When I made my claim about how if I see one more podcast, like, because I sometimes review past guests and what they've done for like podcasts, but if I see one more podcast where it's like, and then what happened? Well, then I saw a ghost, and then what happened? And then there was, and it's just like this level talk the whole time, and it's like, what the frig are we watching? Like, I'm not going to keep up with this. What? Like, you could be talking the most gruesome shit in the world. I'm not listening to you anymore. And on top of that, sometimes they're so in awe of the person that they're interviewing that I, one, can't get over that, and two, can't believe the way they're acting. So
it's just not
I said that out loud.
It's with that, with podcasts, with like certain interviews where there's no sense of, but what if it was this? Like there's no questioning anything. They're like, oh, that's crazy. That's horrible. And you're right about the tone. And then the other thing that drives me crazy about podcasts is when they go too heavy into the DJ voice, which, yeah, welcome to the show. I was like,
well, that's my intro though. I have to do that for the intro.
Well, I missed the intro, so I didn't know not to say that. So thanks for making this awkward.
No, I do that. I do at the beginning and at the end. And it's I just all basically is I repeat words that I used to get made fun of for saying. Like, I'm an Italian, so when I show up, I'm like, oh, who'd you talk to? What's going on? Like, that's how I open up a conversation.
There's nothing wrong with that for intros, outros, bumper music, like commercials. That's fine. You're supposed to talk in radio voice. But it's when the whole podcast is radio voice.
Oh yeah,
it sounds unauthentic.
Yeah.
When your guy's smiley.
That's like a weatherman. Like when he gets off and talks to his family, he's like, and today we're gonna have mac and cheese. It's like, well, thanks, Dad. Like, why do you talk like this? Because I'm a weatherman.
Yeah, the weatherman says, hey, today we're gonna have mac and cheese, and then hands out cereal. Oh, he got it wrong again.
Classic weatherman.
That's fucking stupid and funny. Hey, all right. So focusing. So you guys seem like you're level-headed. You're enjoying this.
Yeah.
That's my question, I guess. You're still enjoying this, right? You're enjoying there's so much to put on a show, period. On top of that, to do what you're doing, on top of you doing the investigating, but you're still loving all of it, right? The whole process.
Yeah. I mean, we're constantly evolving. We're constantly growing. We recently signed with Bloody Disgusting for our podcast, which is a lot of fun. So like there's still milestones, right? Like that doesn't mean that we've hit the podium. Like we're just trying to go up with it as much as we can along with having fun. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it anymore. Like flat out. Like if I'm not having fun in it, I'm not going to do it. If I'm not having fun in the sports stuff that I do, I'm not going to do it anymore. So it's fun. I enjoy it. I love hearing people's stories. I love what I tell people when they tell me like, I'm not really into ghosts. I'm like, well, think of it this way. You're hearing history. You're not just hearing a ghost story. When we present a presentation, we are telling you the history of this place. When we did Block Island, I told the history of Block Island. And yeah, there's some ghosts tied into that towards the end and like stuff, but you're hearing the history of that place. So we cover a location like We covered Bridgewater. We covered Block Island. We covered Junee, Australia. So you're hearing the history of how that place came about and why this location was there and different things that happened within this house. And
so we appreciate the history because Buddy works at the Varnum Armory.
Right. I'm a docent at the Varnum Memorial Armory, Rhode Island Military History Museum.
A lot of Civil War gear, a lot of authentic flags, the Rhode Island one, a lot of like in battle stuff. We actually
flag from the King Philip's War that has a blood stain on it. It's fantastic.
Wow,
there's like a lot of stuff in that place, right? And we actually they did this thing called the 48-hour film festival in Providence, and we were like, let's do it for a goof. So we showed up being, the guys like us with all the RISD students, and it was just like, but we made the film in that armory, and I actually get to wear some authentic Civil War clothing, which was dope as hell. And we actually won an award. It was the most handsome dolphin fan. I don't know why they picked that award. It didn't make any sense to me. I didn't see that coming, but it was just most handsome dolphin fan.
Right.
I didn't know there was handsome dolphin fans. That's amazing.
That's my point.
They also just wanted the Dolphins to finally have an award.
Well, yeah, exactly, right?
You haven't had a trophy in quite some time. Let's line them up.
Right, we haven't. Right.
I know for a fact, right? So here's what's really quick. I have an old brother Ray who's on the show. My older brother. He is a Dolphins fan. Now he has a son, and I always say to him, "I feel so bad that you did that to this kid because he's never going to see a Super Bowl. There's a good chance he may never see one. Like you guys haven't even been in one since '84. Like, don't talk to me about Super Bowls. The Dolphins. I mean, I feel bad for the Dolphin fans. I do. I really, buddy. I feel bad for Dolphin fans.
Don't feel bad, Mike. We're gonna come alive.
All right.
I don't know if we're gonna beat Buffalo, but
Hey guys, I'm realizing we could take this conversation in like 400 different ways. As I start to wrap it up, what would you like to add? What would you like to plug? Final words. We'll start with Jesse, then we'll work our way up and around. Counterclockwise.
Rather than, I'd like to flip it around. What about you guys? I know you guys say that you've been to haunted places. Obviously, we met on the USS Salem. What's the craziest place you guys have been to?
Oh, Mike, why don't you go first on this one? Because I got a few.
Mine has nothing to do with paranormal as far as craziest place I've been to. Therefore, I would like to defer and not talk.
I certainly was talking about ghosts.
Oh, that's good. I was
that's my point.
Access by a dear friend of mine to investigate the Ladd School in Rhode Island. It's a former institution in Rhode Island. They tore it down about 3 months later, but it's like renowned for its like awful history and like abuse of mentally challenged people and developmentally disabled people. Lots of unsolved murders there. We went there for maybe an hour and got some like 20 of like the best EVPs I've ever gotten, hands down. Just like there was no one else in this building besides me and a woman, and there was so many other voices there. There's so many other people, like clear as day. That's scary, just like profound. Like wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, I've again, I was in high school. One of the people that was with me is like one of the sergeants, one of the towns, police-wise, and we saw a UFO. We just saw this gigantic thing above us, and we all stopped, and it just disappeared like really fast. And then for some reason, we never told anybody for years. And then like I want to say like 10 years ago, me and him had a conversation drinking beers. Like, do you remember that? And he's like, I totally remember it. And I couldn't believe that he remembered it, and then I remembered it. And then we actually called this girl up from high school, and she remembered it because she was there. So we had
do you feel like it's less crazy to tell that story now that like,
dude,
the FBI has all but confirmed?
Come on, nowadays, let me tell you something. I ask people this, and this is the one question I ask people that drives them nuts. What do you think you're gonna have to show for proof to get anybody to care anymore about whatever it is you show? Like, you could show flaming Jesus come down and hug you, give like a peace sign, do a backflip, whatever, sign his name, take a photo. Ain't people? No one's believing that shit.
At this point,
they don't believe anything. They're not shocked by anything. They don't care. It's like, how do you get them to really be interested in what it is? Comes down to is history, and paranormal is one-on-one.
Yeah, especially with UFOs. UFOs are going to be increasingly more difficult to get footage of and convince people that it's authentic footage. For one. It's too easy to fake stuff with CGI and Photoshop and all this kind of stuff right now.
And now there's multiple looking ships.
And
they went
and
all
then
Star
yeah,
Wars
and
get
then
all these different figures. So now they can be like, oh, there's a Tic Tac, there's this one, there's that one. So now
Yeah.
they can show us any shit, and we're like, oh yeah, well that's part of the fleet.
and number two, it's like you could just it could just be a drone or multiple drones flying together. Like it's too easy to fake a UFO flying or accidentally be mistaken for a UFO.
I like
It's
that
just,
word.
there's too much. Yeah, there we go. I'm taking after Buddy. I'm just making up words. It's too hard to, anything could be a UFO, especially with drones and different things flying around these days. So
Man, I get it.
a little
Look,
too tricky.
are you guys not weirded out when you still look at Google Earth and you see your house? It still freaks me out. I ain't lying. Like when I see Google Earth and I zoom in, and I'm like in my house, I'm like, my lawn looks horrible. Like, what the frig is that? Like, that's creepy. That to me is creepy.
There was an article in The Hill recently that was talking about how the Congress just changed the definition of what a UFO is, and it's to encompass. I don't want to misquote it because I can't remember exactly what it was. I don't have it in front of me. It was like it made it like a broader, like it encompasses more things now. The fact that politicians in Congress would go now and change the wording of what a UFO encompasses is weird, right? Why would they do that? Why would politicians do that now? And it's like, what do they know? Like, what's happening? Especially whereas like the FBI, was it the FBI or just?
Dude, the president stopped stuff from coming out that date. The day that everything was supposed to come out for the UFOs, he redacted a bunch of stuff, and his reasoning was, it's just not ready to be. It's just not ready to be seen. That was the little legit reason he gave where stuff didn't come out. So like that whole UFO, like they're gonna let us know stuff. There was a bunch of stuff held back because it wasn't ready. What the fuck does not ready mean? What does that mean? Like, what does not ready mean for UFOs? What you're not cooking?
You should
it.
look
What do
up.
you mean?
You should look up this article in The Hill. It's because they said some really alarming things that they said like the Chinese government and the Russian government have been pursuing this thing that they don't know what it is, and when their fighter pilots were in pursuit of it, they died, and they didn't specify how, whether they crashed or were shot down or what, but they said that they lost their pilots.
Guys,
So
here's
it's
what we've been getting.
This is The Hill. This isn't like a InfoWars or something crazy. This is
No,
just
but
like
legitimately, from every show we've done, from everything I've watched, between the oceans being involved with somehow with being where things come out of and can land, but like even we had Barry, what was his name? Barry Fitzgerald.
Barry Fitzgerald.
He had this story about another dig that he did. He did a second dig, and it terrified him. And he was like, it changed my whole paradigm. So like he kept moving on, and I'm like, I want to know about that dig, right? So he mentioned one point where what was the first dig? It's it's on Netflix. It's the Skinwalker Ranch. When he's discussing that, he's talking about how like, I guess underneath it all, underneath whatever the base of whatever the ground was reptilian in nature, serpentine in nature, right? That's what he said. So I asked him, I brought him back to his old dig at the end of the show, and I asked him if what scared him when he saw it at the beneath was serpentine in nature. And we got him to say yes, which was great that he did, but it's like, now that's creeping me out. Because he legitimately seemed, buddy, am I wrong that he seemed drawn? Like he seemed like it really fucking him.
It did. It affected him. Barry Fitzgerald has been investigating the paranormal for longer than I've been alive, and he was on Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International. Not that that means anything, but he's old world paranormal investigator. So yeah, it kind of means something when someone that investigates stuff that's more than 1,000 years old is terrified.
It was terrifying in his way of like being like he felt like he finally went too far as investigating. Like that's legitimately the way the guy sounded, and like I didn't feel like he was giving me an act at all, because why the frig would you come on this show and give me an act? What's the point? You know what I mean? Like, well, what's the point? Right. He was legitimately terrified of what he saw on that dig. And do you guys hold any water to that before we start to wrap up? Like with the whole, there is something beneath the ground that, I mean, because there's a lot of negative stuff coming out about that whole stuff in the ocean, in the ground below us.
Well, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, I mean, like you have, I mean, I don't know exactly if we're talking about the same thing, but when it comes to paranormal and ghost stuff, I mean, yeah, I mean, the water retains energy. Water has memory. So like there are connections.
How
to
do they
the
prove
water.
that?
That's why they fall. It's okay. So
how do you prove that?
Without getting this completely wrong. So they started a scientific test where they were introducing like iodine or some kind of thing into the water, and the molecules in the water would separate. They'd add it again. It would separate. Then they diluted it a little bit. The molecules would still separate. They diluted it even more. They would still separate. And by the time that they diluted it all the way to the point where it was actual water going in, as soon as the drop came in, the molecules still separated. So they remembered that something foreign was coming in, and they began to separate. And this test happened all over the world. One scientist did it. I probably explained it terribly.
Is that memory or adaptation?
It was memory. It was proven to be memory, and it was proven by not just one wacky scientist, but it was proven by scientists at different colleges and universities all around the world. You can look into it.
No, listen.
I can show you the
forgive me.
information,
Forgive me, but you can understand why I find it weird that it's a memory. Like you can prove water has.
I'm not
memory.
again. I'm probably explaining it poorly.
Yeah, Jesse, it's all you, man. If you don't get it right this time, I don't believe in the whole freaking theory.
Exactly. There's a history to it. It was tested, and it was actually proven that water actually has a memory.
I would love to see this test because that intrigues me. The fact that water has memory and there's not a fact that does not adapt because water is definitely alive.
Water is not sentient, right? So when you say it has a memory, it's the same idea as like limestone or rocks that basically stores energy, which is a similar, like basically that's memory. When you have a computer and you're storing energy in your computer, or storing information
storing
in your
a
computer,
response.
you call that memory, right?
Yeah.
It's no one's saying that like what. Right.
It's storing a response, which is different. It's not storing just information. It's storing a response to said information. Information has to be added for it to respond. That's what it's storing.
Are you talking about
storing
water?
A response, right?
You're talking about
That's
water.
where I get weirded out. What?
Are you talking about water?
Water.
A response, if it's repeated over and over again, I guess would kind of be a memory, anyways. I don't know, but then the other thing is water isn't everything. So when you have like a house that's made up of a certain kind of bricks or certain kind of stone, we're mostly water, right? Everything, there's water in absolutely everything. So one of the main theories on haunted locations is, it started getting more haunted when we started doing renovations, right?
Yeah.
So when we started knocking down a wall, when we started building this or rearranging this or changing the fireplace or whatever, that's when the hauntings happened. And the theory around that is because there's water in everything, there's water in these stones even, that when you start smashing these things open or breaking them apart, you're releasing the water that was in there, you're releasing the memory, and then all of a sudden your house is super haunted for maybe 3 or 4 days. And this isn't a haunting that might last forever. This might be something that was like, it was extremely haunted to the point, and you hear this all the time. It was extremely haunted to the point where the construction crew refused to keep doing work and they got spooked and they left, right? You've probably heard that story before at 100 different haunted locations, right? And that they think that might be the reason because of the water that was retained within these stones when they started demolishing and fixing up the house, that they awoke the spirits. And it's believed to be more of a brief haunting where they were just pissed off for a little bit. And then once that water evaporates, so does that memory. And so does that basically temporary haunting, if you will.
So for the other two guys, I totally understand what he's saying. But once again, the idea that water has memory trips me up. I speak for the dumb. Like I do. Like I represent the dumb. And I'm telling you, the dumb of the world are like, water has memory. Like, it just sounds like nature. Nature adapts. It knows how to change. It knows how to like respond the right way for it to grow. If things are going to move on, they just instinctively know how to take information that's been given over time and use it and change.
But if something happens to something repeatedly and then it adapts, that's memory, right? What's the difference?
Because
I wouldn't call it memory. Because you can learn to change but not remember what you did.
Like muscle memory, basically.
Just in general, yeah, you could physically change.
Well, no, I mean muscle memory. You're not thinking about it, right? You just
like,
you do something in repetition so many times that you do it without thinking. So even though you're not thinking about it, it's still memory. It's called muscle memory. It's the same.
Dave, I have two 18-year-old twins. I've coached them in basketball for the last 15 years. I speak about that all the time. It's funny that you're telling me about it, but like, yeah, I try to tell them. Like, it gets to the point where your shot, you just keep it the same way every time. When it hits the top, your body just from muscle memory. That's what happens. So I'm 100% with you. But
I have 14-year-old twins.
Oh, do you? Really?
Yep.
Boy and a girl?
2 boys.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Actually, I don't know. Maybe that would be easier. I have a
they
boy and a girl.
Best friends. Yeah.
Yeah. One's in Bryant. One went to Bryant College this year. And then the other one is he was just down here dancing because the New York Football Giants won their first goddamn game of the season. I'm going to potty for like a week. You guys have no idea. I'm so depressed over the Giants. It's been so depressing as a Giants fan that I'm going to like celebrate in this. I don't care if it's the Titans. I care less.
It was a big win. Hey.
One more time around the table, guys. Anything you want to plug or say before we wrap? I'm going to start this time with Dave up top.
Yeah, so we're Hometown Ghost Stories. You can find us on YouTube or any podcast platform. We're on all of them, Spotify, iTunes, etc. Check us out. Even if you watched this and you hated us, you should check us out anyways.
I don't think they hated you, but go ahead, King Coakley.
I'll just add Tuesdays at 9 p.m. We're live. So if you do like the show and you want to partake in it, we have a lot of people that watch live with us. They add comments to the chat. We pull some of them up. So it's like an interactive experience after that pre-produced section.
You know what's funny is we're supposed to be like that. Like, see this over here? But like, what?
Yeah, I've been reading Sarah's. I've been reading Sarah's content.
Just watch the words and see how they seem to get bigger. I get more confused. like I'm trying to explain to her. Like, I always tell Sarah the same thing. Like, she gives so much information, right?
Yeah, she does.
That I don't know how she expects my head to be able to like read what she's saying.
There's some really good questions, Mike. And you just
I'm not done. Do I look done?
No, of course not.
Well, she left, so yeah.
Like, she gives a thesis. It's like, she just come on the goddamn show. All right, so we're now over. King Coakley, you done? Did you get to plug it at 9? You did. Yes, Jesse, over to you.
You got the plug in there. Yeah, I think these guys pretty much covered it. But next time we're in Rhode Island, we'll have to hit you guys up.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
we'll link
we-
up
Only
and,
places we could investigate. I'd love to investigate with you guys.
just a bar.
Yeah.
We'll
I
investigate.
mean, we're not that far. Yeah, we're
We're
Massachusetts.
down to investigate the bar too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We'll do a
Investigate the
thorough
bar.
investigation of the bar.
You know what,
Yeah.
you motherfucker? You guys should. Are you busy on the 27th of October?
Probably.
Don't
I-
say probably. You said probably. Which one guy said probably? Right up Dave. It was Dave, right? It was Dave. Of course.
27th is a Tuesday. I mean, we go live, but I mean, if it's something
No, it's a
serious-
Thursday.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong month.
Thursday.
Thursday's tricky, but maybe
We're
we can make
doing that
something work. What do you
live
got going
show
on?
at the Parlor. You guys should come down and tell some ghost stories.
At the where?
The Parlor in Providence. It's a
really?
That's Main
rock
Street,
club.
Providence.
We're having speakers come down to ghost stories. It's a night of ghost stories before Halloween.
Sounds awesome.
If you guys want to come down and tell some ghost stories,
Beers.
we should be filming there. And if you guys want a podcast, man, fuck, the Lysics will be there. We're inviting everybody down. So
You guys, did you guys do that with the Block Island crew last time?
Yeah.
they came down and hung out last time, yeah.
Yeah, they invited us to that. Unfortunately, we had to go do some stuff in Salem that night. But
Or people went to where was it, buddy? Everybody's in Kentucky. Where was it?
Gettysburg
Nah.
Convention, the big Gettysburg.
That happened too.
Bastards.
But with the ghost stories, I mean, here's my theory. Ghost stories is a great way to tell ghost stories, right? And people can even sign up. I'm gonna have like a space where they can tell their own like people that are supposed to speak. But it's just a great way to plug what you do and have people see you speak without any other. Because I'll tell you what, I'm not naming names. We had a bunch of speakers. Some people came across awesome. They could handle a live crowd. The fact that people are drinking and talking, and some people were like, "Oh." Whenever we speak, everyone just sits down in an auditorium and listens to us.
Mhm.
Like, and they just could not deal with chat. It could not command the stage. And my theory was, this is making you better. I know that sounds like an old guy just telling somebody young that they got hurt, whatever. I'm like, this is gonna make you better. You need to get out there and just go live. Let them, because when I get up there, my goal was I was gonna tell the worst jokes I could as slowly as I could to get the most groans. But I think I succeeded when I say that.
I feel like in front of a live crowd, especially a chatty one, like the stand-up comedy route is probably the way to go with that kind of situation. I'm interested, man. That would be awesome. If we can make it work, we'll definitely pop.
That's
out,
my
man.
point. You think that it is. One guy did try to go that way. It isn't. It's the people that are really sincere that go this, and you get everyone's attention. But you also have to ask for people's attention. Like from the Block Island crew, there's that pretty girl. She's blonde, but she wore this hat that was like
What's that? Yeah.
ridiculous. It looked like Culture Club Madonna.
Right.
So I'm trying to tell the joke, and she's yapping, and I was like, I stopped everything I'm doing. I'm like, oh, Culture Club, like Madonna hat. Like, I just kept calling her names. I got her for focus, and then it went on. Now that's a mean way of doing it, but that's fine. I don't care what people think about me. It's all an act. It's a joke. It's a show. I enjoy it. I would rather take the heat than anybody else, but some people do. They withered around. A DJ would not wither around a live audience, but people that have never been in front of a live audience that just do these like conventions, they want none of that shit. They don't want it. They don't.
Right.
Buddy, what do you got?
Oh my God, Mike! It's my turn to talk. Fantastic. Okay, so next week, if you're not too busy wrapped up with watching the New England Patriots lose, or the Miami Dolphins win, or the Giants for that matter, tune in for Aaron Wuchik. He's this is one of his pieces. Yep, that's Stephen King, and that's all the haunted towns that are in all his books. He does like a lot of horror art, and he does a lot of ghostly places, and he draws them. And
That's the Painter Kid. Is that the Painter Kid? Is
That's
that
the Painter Kid. He can be found. He was at the party.
Yeah.
He can be found at most conventions. He sells fantastic art, which I have this hanging on.
He's really good.
He's really good. I just have one question for you three guys. I've been sitting here thinking about this the whole time while Mike's been talking. One paranormal investigator to another. So you guys talk about disembodied voices. You guys talk about EVPs. You guys talk about energy. Is there any correlation to why one voice comes through as a disembodied voice? Why one voice comes through as like a little bit of whisper, and then another voice is like another guy in the room? Why is there a difference
in volume?
Does it have to do with energy, or where are we at with this?
I think it has a little bit to do with energy. It also just depends on which spirit you're talking to. I mean, whenever you're doing a paranormal investigation, there could be multiple spirits in the room, right? Right. And they draw energy off of different energy sources in the room. So I don't know, maybe Joe the ghost drew all the energy off of your camera battery, and now he's all hyped up and he's going to be louder than the other guy, you know? So our big saying on our show and our big theory is we don't make the rules. We're trying to figure them out as we go. Right. So we don't have an explanation for everything, but I think when it comes to an actual scientific approach to that, it's these spirits, they draw energy off of energy sources, be it batteries or different electronics in the room,
or your own personal body, for example.
That too. Yeah. If you're going off energy, for sure.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Just Andy, Aaron Wuchik. He does lovely designs, and Cold Harbor Brewery. They do lovely beers.
Well, guys, I would
and the Miami Dolphins.
Love to thank you guys for being on the show. I had a great time. I feel like we could talk about literally a million things. As it goes on. But I'd like to get together, have some beers, maybe talk about stuff that way.
Sounds
that
good
might
to
be
me.
a better approach.
So for lunch.
So for Jesse C. Wilkins, Dave Wilkins, King Coakley, Buddy, Money, there it's me, Mike Larry King, Mike L. This is Legit Paranormal, brought to you by legitpodcast.com. We'll see you again on Sunday. Thank you for joining in. The New York Giants won a football game.